Hello and welcome to Innovation Insights, brought to you by Redtail Capital and Alltech Media. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, our goal on this program is to introduce some exciting opportunities, some companies, technologies, ideas, and concepts to the world. These are the kinds of critical innovations that have the potential to extend human longevity and increase the quality of life for millions of people. And today's featured innovation is a great example of what we mean. Ask anyone you know, and I'm sure they'll tell you that their life has been touched in some way by cancer. And cancer is the leading cause of death, and heart disease just right behind it in the United States. In a moment, you're going to learn about a new technology designed to ease the burden of cancer on the individuals and families dealing with the disease from the person who developed it. Rebecca Driscoll, when Innovation Insights returns after this important message from our sponsors.
My idea is transforming medical care.
My idea created jobs for 2,000 people.
My idea will bring renewable energy to everyone.
An entrepreneur with an idea can change the world.
I have an idea.
Kauffman, the foundation of entrepreneurship.
When our multi-talented people bring their multiple perspectives together, we turn data into insights, information into innovation, and exponential technologies into impactful transformations. Let's do this.
Building a business can take you on a journey unlike any other, filled with anticipation, uncertainty, and the constant search for answers. You're never quite sure what's coming next, which is why it helps to have a partner that does. Plan for the future of your business with the bank trusted by 50% of US-based, venture-backed tech and life science companies. Silicon Valley Bank, built for what's next.
Welcome back to Innovation Insights, where today you're going to learn about a new innovation designed to help improve the lives of the millions of people who are living with cancer or have loved ones who are dealing with it. Let's take a quick look before we meet our guest.
Everyone's life has been touched in some way by cancer. Today, some 1.9 million Americans are newly diagnosed with cancer, and approximately 12 million are living with cancer, and most are unaware of their testing, treatment, and clinical trial options at the time they're diagnosed. The potentially deadly disease is complicated, overwhelmingly difficult to understand, and downright frightening. But new technology is helping ease the burden of effectively dealing with cancer. Swelter, an innovative life sciences company based in Temecula, California, is developing an app that will change all of this. The mobile-friendly app, which is free to patients, uses their medical records to deliver potentially life-saving testing and treatment options to the patients and their oncologists in real time, right there in the doctor's office. Swelter is on a mission to reverse decades of barriers to testing and treatment, targeted at each patient's specific cancer issues. The app opens the door to more than 70% of cancer patients who don't know about potentially life-saving clinical trials. Swelter brings everyone together, the drug makers, labs, oncologists, and patients, in real time, on the app, on the first visit to an oncologist. With the patient's consent, Swelter.com uses a patient's medical record to derive the most optimized treatments and testing opportunities relevant to that patient's unique cancer. In essence, Swelter enables the patient to tap into expertise of pharmaceutical companies, labs, and their doctor to access a treasure trove of cancer information, diagnostics, real-world data, and cancer care to beat back their disease. And Swelter is committed to ensuring every cancer patient receives relevant information about biomarker testing and treatments, regardless of their community setting or resources. Swelter, a point-of-care solution to present life-saving information, free to patients.
And now I'd like to introduce our guest here in Innovation Insights today, Rebecca Driscoll. She's the founder and CEO of Swelter Incorporated and the developer of the Swelter app. Rebecca is a dynamic healthcare executive who has spent 22 plus years serving various roles in the cancer diagnostics and oncology sectors of the healthcare industry. Rebecca Driscoll, welcome to Innovation Insights. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Let's start by taking kind of an elevated, high-level view of the Swelter app. Tell us what it is really supposed to do and who it helps.
Yeah. Swelter was designed and is designed to serve patients and physicians simultaneously at the point of care. One of our issues today is that we all know in dealing with cancer, it is extremely frustrating and confusing and scary. And so we believe that people need to be armed with the right education about their specific health dilemma at the point of diagnosis.
You have a very intimate interest in this, okay, because you have been touched by cancer yourself. Give us kind of some perspective about your background, where you come from, and why this is so important to you.
Yeah, I mean, beyond 22 years of being in this space and seeing all of the, I would say, gaps in delivery of care and education, I personally have dealt with this awful disease. In February, I lost my father-in-law. My husband is also a stage 4 cancer survivor. My mother, my father, my uncle to pancreatic cancer, and the list goes on. So there's no shortage of passion to try to change the face of this awful disease.
The app, I'd like to kind of go a little bit more into detail, just a little bit, about how the app itself works, what it's supposed to do. When I look at the app, I download it onto my device. What am I looking for once I have it? What's it going to help me do?
Yeah, so there's no reason why today, you think about an Amazon as an example. When you shop on Amazon, it tells you to look at other things that are relevant to what your search is, right? Mm-hmm. And thinking about that when you think about your healthcare, the information we already have about you, about your diagnosis, sits in your medical record. And so the Swelter app leverages that information and pushes education to the individual. As that information changes in your medical record, so does the application. For example, my husband is a melanoma survivor. When he was diagnosed, what is melanoma? What is immunotherapy versus chemotherapy? What are all these words this doctor is talking to me about? It's so confusing and overwhelming. So the application actually educates you based on the information that's in the medical record.
And this information obviously is updated probably on a very regular basis.
Exactly.
Does the app provide any kind of potential cures or treatments, I should say, or studies that someone who has cancer is able to participate in or look into as maybe an alternative source of treatment, as opposed to maybe just simply going through and working with their doctor and whatever it is that they say?
It does not do matching to those specific studies.
Okay.
We would integrate that into the app. You know, there are people that specialize in that specifically. Our goal is just to provide, like, what is a clinical trial? Why should I be interested in this? You know, demystifying some of this jargon for people. We use a lot of acronyms in cancer. When we talk about staging of disease, all of those things that just really can overwhelm you. What I tell people is that you cannot have access to care if you just don't even know what exists for you.
I think that's really important because, I mean, when people get that diagnosis, they're going through a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings, and it just seems like the weight of the world all of a sudden because they have so many decisions to make. So this app is supposed to be essentially a one-stop educational kind of resource that they can use, and they can get the answers to the questions that are probably plaguing them most at that time.
That's right. Let's stop Googling our disease and taking ourselves down a path that we just don't really understand. It really causes a lot of confusion, and it causes a lot of confusion between the patient and the physician that's trying to treat them.
So it's a credible resource and one that's authoritative as well.
Yeah.
Don't apps like this currently exist? Is there anything that is in the market that competes with something like this right now?
Yeah, great question. You know, there are what we call patient engagement apps. We specifically call this a patient immersion app. What I also say is that in order to learn a foreign language, you need to immerse yourself in that country, right, to really understand and learn that language. And that's the same for your healthcare. And what other apps do as far as patient engagement goes is, they ask you a lot of questions. Tell us how you're feeling. Can you input all the specifics about your disease? And quite honestly, especially in later stage cancers, it's overwhelming. And a lot of times you just don't even know some of the words or things that are associated to your disease. Mm-hmm. And so we're not asking you to input anything. We're pushing it directly from your medical record and matching it to meaningful content that is relevant to you at that point in time. So it is different from other engagement apps that are out there that ask you to engage with the app, really. Tell us about yourself. We're saying let us tell you about you and your disease.
You wear so many hats, and you've done so much work over all these many years in working in the field that you have. What made you think that the time was right for the Swelter app, and what is it you're going to do with it, this technology?
Yeah, I think that we're at a time in, post-COVID, which I think a lot of people have come up with novel ideas that forced us to think differently. I think that the industry is ready to bring on more novel technology and solutions where it's very difficult to do in a practice. We also figured out how to do this without disrupting the workflow in a clinic. And so it's just taken time, but I think that the time is right. Cancer is not decreasing, even though there are studies that suggest this. We are seeing higher incidence of it. We're now facing 1.9 million newly diagnosed cancers in the United States. We're still at around 670,000 deaths, cancer-related deaths per year. So it's no better time than now to make this happen and start to bridge that gap in understanding.
You've pointed out some of the advantages already to the Swelter app, but is there anything in particular that you look to this app and its innovation that makes it maybe particularly unique in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, I think as far as its uniqueness, where our sweet spot is that we understand systems, devices, data. I have a background in real world data. My colleagues also are experts in computer science and dealing with data. And so where we really shine in what we know how to do is extracting some of this clinical data in real time out of these aging EMR systems, electronic medical record systems. And that's what actually triggers our application. So it's that unique little sweet spot of understanding where does this data sit, how does it get used, what are all the different inputs, my background in diagnostics as well, and matching that diagnostic data in real time to the clinical data. It's a very complicated thing to do. So we've been in the trenches and doing this for a long time, and I think that that's really where our deep domain expertise really can set us apart.
It sounds like it. Can you point, are there any other advantages here that you can point to? I mean, you've already talked about the data advantage there. Are there any maybe some intangibles or maybe some other data points or innovative technologies that go into this app that make it stand out?
Yeah, I think that also we're leveraging a novel consent method. My colleagues also have developed a novel consent tool and method, which enables us to give the patient control over how their data is used and shared, which is sitting underneath this application. So downstream, let's say that somebody says, yes, I would like to share my family history. We have a way of tracking and preventing that from happening or provisioning it from happening, but we're really putting the control in the patient's hands through our application as well. So that's also a novel piece that does not exist in other applications today.
I know you'd like to take 100% credit for this innovation, but I'm sure that as there seems to be for all the greatest technologies and advancements that come out, there's a team of people behind this. Can you talk a little bit about the people that you work with and how critical they are to the success of what we're talking about with the Swelter app?
Yeah, absolutely. I have an incredible CTO, Dan Weaver. He comes from United Health Group. Optum, he has a tremendous background in software development in healthcare. And same with my colleague, Dr. Trish Godey. She is an advisor to us, but she is an expert in computer science. She has sold companies. She has developed more than 5 patents, been issued more than 5 patents. And so we, to combine the 3 of us, really have put our heads together on how to make this work.
A lot of brains and real world knowledge going
Yeah.
into the development here. With respect to bringing this to market, we know that there's a market for it, right? We understand that it's large, and you could argue worldwide, global market. What's kind of your plan for doing that right now?
Yeah, I think, we are going to remain focused on the United States. I think we have a huge problem here in the U.S. I have been asked to think about this in other countries, and I said right now, my family lives here, my friends are here in the United States, and this is where my passion lies, is to take care of our own people in our country. There is, well over 3,000 oncologists in the U.S. as well. We expect to work with some of the large oncology networks to start with that are community-based. More than 80% of cancer patients are cared for in the community. So we will be working with those individuals. The other side of this is pharmaceutical industry, laboratories, manufacturing. They need to deliver content, education in real time to both physicians and patients. You see the commercials on TV. You see brochures. My husband actually was never even given the brochures related to the drugs he was going to go on, where they could deliver their content, their education to the clinic and the patient in real time. And that's really where our value is and how we make money, is through that content distribution and partnerships. But it's a value add on both sides of the coin, right? The patient gets what they need, and the companies can deliver that information to the right person at the right time.
Right. I think we need to mention, too, that this is not going to be something necessarily that is going to be easy for just anyone on the street to find, but this is something that they're going to have access to. How? They get this from their doctor, or
Correct.
they get this? Okay.
Correct, through their doctor. So at first visit, we are leveraging that initial consent process where you would sign a piece of paper or get an email, said fill out these forms before you came into my practice. We leverage that. It's basically what I say at hello of the patient. And it is in partnership with the clinic that we deliver this application. So a cancer patient would not just go and find Swelter and download it. It would have to be related to that practice, because it is their medical record that we're leveraging to drive the information. So it's through the clinic application.
Okay, makes perfect sense. How has Swelter been funded to this point?
We are self-funded to this point. So my co-founder, Dan Weaver, and myself have self-funded this.
Rebecca, thanks so much. I appreciate so far the answers have been great, and the conversation has been really very riveting too. I want you to stay tuned, because we've got more questions coming up from you, from our online audience, right after this quick break from our sponsors.
Building a business can take you on a journey unlike any other, filled with anticipation, uncertainty, and the constant search for answers. You're never quite sure what's coming next, which is why it helps to have a partner that does. Plan for the future of your business with the bank trusted by 50% of US-based, venture-backed tech and life science companies. Silicon Valley Bank, built for what's next.
When our multi-talented people bring their multiple perspectives together, we turn data into insights, information into innovation, and exponential technologies into impactful transformations. Let's do this.
My idea is transforming medical care.
My idea created jobs for 2,000 people.
My idea will bring renewable energy to everyone.
An entrepreneur with an idea can change the world.
I have an idea.
Kaufman, the foundation of entrepreneurship.
Okay. Welcome back to Innovation Insights. Great to have you with us. My name is Jeff Allen with Rebecca Driscoll. We're talking about the Swelter app. And Rebecca, we've got some questions right now from our online audience. I'd like to go ahead and get to one of those right now. We have Steve from San Francisco, and Steve would like to know when you expect your first revenues to start to come in, or have those already begun to come in at this point?
Yeah, no, great question. We are still in development. We are actually raising capital and looking for partnerships to get us over the hump for our minimum viable product. But we would expect to see revenue within the first year because of the way in which we are partnering with industry and delivering content. We would expect to see a pretty quick return, once we're live.
We've got another question now from our online audience, and Diane from Scottsdale would like to know what's kind of your long-term goal for Swelter? I mean, as far as doing what you're doing, I mean, it really is a great application, and it's going to provide, I think, critical information to the people who need it most. But what is kind of your long-term objective here?
Yeah, I think that once we hit, a certain threshold of adoption within the oncology community, I mean, I would love to see, obviously, every practice utilizing our application. Obviously, that's, a pretty aspirational goal. But I foresee that within the next 3 to 5 years that we're partnering with a much larger partner that can help us deliver this and look at other things like autoimmune disease would be our next path after really kind of democratizing oncology. So that's what we would expect to see, whether it be a technology partnership, a large healthcare system, et cetera, but that's what we look to accomplish.
We also have Doug from Eugene, Oregon, who writes in with the comment, who wants to know if the app is going to be available for all devices, essentially, once it's ready, up and running, whether you've got a phone or you've got a PC that you're using, or...
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's a mobile-friendly application, so we chose specifically not to do a native app. So that we weren't always subject to the changes in the app stores. So it is a mobile-friendly, which means that you can use it on any mobile device, a iPad, which we would expect to see in the clinic, being used by the clinic, or on the desktop.
Sherry from Orange County also writes in today, and she would like to know if you're currently looking for employees, or you're looking for partnerships, or what can you tell us about that right now?
Yeah, we are looking for partnerships more so on the software development side, so that we can get that MVP accelerated and get it up and running. So that's where we're at right now, and really staying lean on the employee side.
Our next question is from Wayne, and Wayne is in Tallahassee, Florida, and Wayne would like to know about the market. We talked about the fact that there is a market, but just how big a market are we talking about?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, especially post-COVID. We know that the digital health tech space is exploding. It is projected at over $400 billion as the market for digital health tech. I think that it's probably even higher than that. In the oncology space, specifically, which is where we position ourselves, you're looking at about a $100 billion market for digital solutions. We would see ourselves that, we have easily projected, and I know that a lot of companies are aspirational, but given our business model, we have easily projected a $100 million market share.
Adriana in Austin writes in with a very, very good question. Let's talk about now your revenue model and how you're going to make money with the app.
So the market research I did during and post-COVID, I asked my colleagues that were sitting in pharmaceutical companies and laboratories how they were going to get in front of physicians now that the doors were closed. How are they going to educate them? There are, just as a statistic, there's more than 75,000 new diagnostic tests that hit the scene each year, and we're asking physicians to keep up, right? And so there is a huge demand for these point-of-care solutions that would educate the physician in real time, and same with the patient. And so these companies want to disseminate their information. They need to, and the sales reps are not getting in the door as easily anymore. So we positioned ourselves as, a content deliverer for these organizations. We would make revenue based on the content they're providing either by test or by therapeutic, or let's say a manufacturing type instrumentation, et cetera. And we positioned it also as the average cost of a single sales rep per year. And so that's pretty lucrative when you start looking at a per test, per drug, per indication scenario that you're delivering content in real time. So our revenue comes from industry, where also the app is free to the patient, but we are capitalizing on that need, that high demand for content delivery.
Perry from Champaign, Illinois wants to know a little bit about your competition, if you've had a chance to study that a little bit. And we talked about that just a little bit. It's a wide open market, but at the same time, there are some companies out there that are doing some of the same things that your app includes, but not entirely. Tell us about some of the competition that you're talking about.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and I won't mention any names per se, but there are plenty of patient engagement apps that exist. I do evaluate these probably on a daily basis because I also sit inside of a nonprofit where I am helping patients in real time as well. And I have the opportunity to consistently evaluate new solutions. And I still don't see something that, to your point, Jeff, that actually does what we're saying, that you can drive it from the inside out, that content from the inside out, versus having the patient to bear all the burden of telling you what's going on with them. So yes, there's lots of competition. There are hospital, portals. I get asked a lot about Epic, MyChart. How does this compete with MyChart? It does not compete with MyChart because MyChart doesn't educate you in real time. It gives you reports, as an example, right? It gives you your appointments. That's not what this is. This is a content delivery and educational tool that is following that particular MyChart record, as an example.
As a follow-up to that, let's talk about your patent strategy.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, we know that we utilize standards-based approach in healthcare and the way in which we bring the data together.
Quick follow-up to that, your patent strategy. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned earlier, my colleague has been awarded more than 5 patents through her career. We decided to take a very close look at this and decided that we will not be filing any patents initially. We do have trade secrets that are within the application. That's, where our secret sauce lies that I mentioned earlier. We will be looking at methodologies that we have throughout our product launch and as we continue to build. But right now, we will not be filing any IP.
Based on that, John from Las Vegas, Nevada wants to know a little bit more about your marketing strategy and how you're going to take this to market.
Yeah, that's great. Well, as I mentioned, it is a content delivery solution also for the industry. So with my background in 22 years in oncology and in the commercial space, I have already been speaking with pharmaceutical companies, laboratories, actually was also part of my market research, of whether or not they would participate in an app like this. And the answer was yes, and that's what made me decide to build this. And so we will first be going to those partners, which would be early revenue, and it would enable us to deliver it into the clinics.
We've already talked a little bit about how the app is going to benefit cancer patients, their families. But let's talk about the caregivers, the providers, the physicians themselves.
Yeah, great question. And this goes back to some of the issues around these various applications. I've spent a lot of time studying the community oncology workflow. My former partner was a community oncologist. And so that experience helped me understand that you have to have an application that serves both the clinic and the patient. And so you'll see in our application that we have a physician-facing or a clinic-facing side of this. We don't remove those physicians or those people from their workflow, but we use the application to give them meaningful information. For example, patients often are treated with oral chemotherapies outside of the clinic. We don't see what's really going on with that patient. Oftentimes, they're not telling us how they're doing. And the application enables the patient not only to talk about how they're feeling, that data also gets matched back to the clinical record. So what happens for the clinic is they can see both of what's going on when that patient comes in, what has been going on with the patient since they've been outside of my clinic, outside of my care essentially, and then coming back in. So it's a two-sided application, which is critical, I believe, in having a successful platform and a technology like this.
And it helps to build and foster the relationship between the physician and the patient.
Trust is critical, right? We entrust that provider to take care of us, and if you can get them on the same page, talking the same language, how incredible that trust would be.
Well, Rebecca, we've just about run out of time, but I'd like to kind of give you the last word on this. We've talked about a lot of information. Swelter really seems to have just a ton of promise and potential out there. Any last remarks that you have about your innovation and what you'd like to see either in the future or kind of what your long-term vision is?
Yeah, I mean, cancer is not going away today, right? This is a problem that is becoming exponentially difficult. There is a lot of talk around precision medicine, personalized medicine, and the complexities around that are becoming insurmountable. And so a solution like this, there is, I say that I can slow roll it, I can speed it up, but for us to have the right partners to help us get it to patients and physicians, we have a sense of urgency to get it there, but we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it the most ethical way and make sure that this is a benefit for both the provider and the patient. So what I tell people is, as long as cancer isn't going away, we're going to continue to push on this.
And for people, organizations are interested in partnering with you, establishing an alliance, investment opportunities, they would like to find out more about Swelter, what should they do?
Yeah, they can email me at Rebecca@Swelter, which Swelter is spelled with 2 L's, a little play on that word, so SWELLTER. They can visit our website, www.swelter.com, but I prefer that people email me or find me on LinkedIn.
Rebecca@Swelter.com, Swelter with 2 L's.
Correct.
Okay, Rebecca, I really appreciate your time. So nice to meet you, and thanks so much for talking all about this incredible innovation. Wishing you all the success.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been a great pleasure to have this interview with you.
I want to thank Rebecca Driscoll for being our guest today. And if you would like more information about Rebecca, her company, Swelter, that's Swelter with 2 L's, the Swelter app, or any of our other featured entrepreneurs, you can visit the innovationinsights.com website, or as Rebecca said, you can contact her directly at rebecca@swelter.com. On our next program, you'll meet Taylor Cole about his venture, Burble, and how he is helping children with autism make their bedtime story a true sleep ritual. Once again, I'm Jeff Allen, and I want to thank our sponsors and you for making Innovation Insights possible. See you again next time.
My idea is transforming medical care.
My idea created jobs for 2,000 people.
My idea will bring renewable energy to everyone.
An entrepreneur with an idea can change the world.
I have an idea.
Kaufman, the foundation of entrepreneurship.
When our multi-talented people bring their multiple perspectives together, we turn data into insights, information into innovation, and exponential technologies into impactful transformations. Let's do this.
Building a business can take you on a journey unlike any other, filled with anticipation, uncertainty, and the constant search for answers. You're never quite sure what's coming next, which is why it helps to have a partner that does. Plan for the future of your business with the bank trusted by 50% of US-based, venture-backed tech and life science companies. Silicon Valley Bank, built for what's next.